Business is really warfare, but it's the activity of life itself. You say, well, business means I need to open up a business. Okay, yeah, that's right. But real activity of life has to deal with all the essentials of life that we must provide for ourselves, our families, our future. I have something in my pocket that, gee, where is it? Oh, yeah. I have a gold coin. In 1961, I was sitting with Elijah Muhammad, and he took out of his pocket a gold coin. This is 1 ounce of gold, pure gold, okay? Mr. Muhammad put it on the table. He said, one day soon, this gold coin will be the new medium of exchange. White people are moving into the inner city. Some of them knocking on doors. They come with money and they ask you for your gold. Because what they're giving you, I think I got some of that in my pocket. Yeah, I think I do. Now this is paper. This is not real money. This is real money. Silver as real money. Now you young people, some of the elders in the audience, like myself, this used to be called a silver certificate. How many old people in here know when this was a silver certificate? And you know what it said on the bottom? Pay to the bearer on demand $50 in silver, the real money. This is what you call monopoly money. Oh, you didn't hear me. We're going to do some business tonight. Because business is really warfare. What's about to happen? This week it came out in the news that in 2016, all the major banks are in trouble. It started with J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. What makes a bank in trouble? When the value of the paper that they have begins to lose its value, then the bank is in serious trouble. And so are we who have our money in the bank. Now, white people that are in your neighborhood, they're in the pawn shop now, and they're telling you in the window, bring the gold, we got cash for you. They know you don't know that this is losing its value every day. But gold will increase in value. Now this one here, I bought it today, or sent a brother to get it today, because I wanted to use it to explain something. 1 ounce of gold, this little piece right here, is 12 I would like to see at least 100 millionaires among the Muslims in Chicago. If you're rich, I'm rich. I could always come and tell you about the needs of a nation. But if you poor and we poor, we can't be around here poor. I want to see rich Muslims.
All right. Good evening. Good evening. Greetings, everyone. How's everyone doing? Glad that you could make it to this Business is Warfare broadcast, which is our second broadcast of the new year of 2023, a new season that we're launching with brand new episodes. And tonight's episode will be nothing short of amazing, because why? Well, we're going to play all financial clips, all business and money and the science of these clips from my spiritual father. The reason why I'm doing this here, the reason why I'm here talking to you as a conscious black man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We're going to bring him out tonight, and we're going to let him talk about the science of money, the science of business, the science of banking, and also talk about the Federal Reserve debt scam. So, family, if you want to support us, then you can either text FCN to that number running at the bottom of your screen. You want to donate to Muhammad's Economic Blueprint, go to www.economicblueprint.org. If you want to participate in Project Exodus 10,000, if you want to participate in Project Exodus, all right, then you can text 10K to that number running at the bottom of your screen, or you can simply go to www.forwardmoney.info so you can get involved in our decentralized banking program, so you can get these high rates of return that we've been talking to you about for almost a year now, right? Going on a year. So get in where you fit in, all right? So that's that. Now, before we play these clips from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, breaking down over the years, him breaking down what we need to do as a people economically, and not just us, but what America can do as a government to solve some of these problems if they would do it, which she would not do it. However, we're going to play those clips for you in a minute. But real quick, new video that we just got from the New Millennium Bankers, our New Millennium Bankers research team, Brother Jahad Muhammad and Brother Kadab Muhammad, and they just released this in our group, and I immediately snatched it up and say, I'm gonna play this tonight. I said, I'm gonna play this tonight. I said, I'm gonna get this and play this tonight. So it's about 5 minutes, but it is people around that's dealing in money, dealing in finance, talking about how there's no law that says that regular income wage earners have to pay taxes. There's no law for that. Now, we've been saying this for a minute. We've been saying this since 2017. This is what's been our standpoint, that it is against the Constitution. So here's all type of people, black people, white people, they all here talking about there's no law on that. So listen to that, and then after that, we're going to come back, and then we're going to bring the minister and let the minister go further into what you're finna hear right now. Check it out, and this goes in line with what we talked about last week, because last week, what did we talk about? We talked about the fractional reserve lending or fractional reserve banking. That's a Federal Reserve policy that the central banks run. That's what we talked about. So this is right in line with that. So check this clip out, and then we're going to bring the minister to the witness stand. Check it out.
There is no law, and to date, nobody has been able to show that there is a law for the average American citizen working day in and day out to pay an income tax.
But We the People Foundation for Constitutional Education put a full-page ad in the USA Today on July 7th, 2000. And within the body of that ad was a $50,000 challenge for anyone that could show the law. And to me, $50,000 is a lot of money. So I went after that and did the research based on the fact that I thought, let's put this baby to bed. I'm hearing all these rumors. I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. I'll answer these people's questions that are asking me, and then I'll win this $50,000. And, based on the research that I did throughout the year 2000 and that I'm still doing, I have not found that law. I've asked Congress. We've asked a lot of people in the IRS commissioners, helpers, they can't answer, because if they answer, the American people are going to know that this whole thing is a fraud.
There is no law. There is no law that requires the average American worker in the private sector to pay a direct unapportioned tax on their labor and compensation for services. There is no law.
I really expected that, of course, there's a law that you can point to in the law book, the code that requires you to file a tax return. Of course there is. Maybe I don't know what it is right then as he was speaking to me, but sure. So naively, I agreed to go off and research it and get back to him. 3.5 months later, I was at that point where I couldn't find the statute that clearly made a person liable, at least not me and most people I know. And I had no choice in my mind except to resign.
I had to leave the IRS because I presented evidence that I had accumulated indicating that the agency was violating the law and violating people's rights. And I asked the agency for a response to my sincere concerns. And the answer I got was that they would not respond to my concerns and that they would provide me with the paperwork necessary to tender my resignation.
You can look through the statutes and look for the law that requires you to pay. And when you do that, you can't identify a law that requires the average person in America who earns a wage and works in private business to pay an income tax.
American citizens, along with the foundation, have been asking the IRS to specifically provide them with the underlying legal foundation upon which they administer and enforce the personal income tax laws in our country.
At the national level, when people would attempt to contact somebody of a much higher authority, say the commissioner, same kind of thing. They would get answers that were in effect non-answers.
You have to understand that an agency which will unlawfully impose a tax that doesn't exist is not going to care. If we, the people, don't know what our rights are, they're not going to tell us.
If Americans just learned that the IRS was actually knowingly deceiving them, that would be enough for them to rise up and put a stop to it.
100% of what is collected is absorbed solely by interest on the federal debt. All individual income tax revenues are gone before 1 nickel is spent on the services taxpayers expect from government. People have been told, that you need this income tax system to fund government, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, my question is, well, if that's true, how did we fund government from 1776 to 1913?
The main purpose of the income tax is not to raise revenue, but to redistribute wealth and to control society.
A lot of people might say, well, gee, if there wasn't an income tax, what would happen to education? They don't understand that education is paid for the most part, out of state and local taxes, your property tax. People might say, well, how are we going to build and maintain our highways if there's no money coming into the government? We need our highways. There is a tax on every gallon of gasoline that people buy. Proceeds from the income tax do not pay for highway construction.
I believe that in both spirit and substance, our tax system has come to be un-American. Death and taxes may be inevitable, but unjust taxes are not.
This small booklet includes the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. This is a document that every citizen should read. It's a document which freed an entire nation. This is the Internal Revenue Code, and this document and the unlawful application of this document by the Internal Revenue Service has enslaved the nation that this document attempted to free.
All right, so you heard it, not just from us. You heard it from government officials, people that's been in government, had these government official jobs. They say they can't find it. You had the first lady saying that there was an offer of $50,000 for anybody that can find the law in the Constitution where the average wage earner had to pay income taxes. And they also talked about how the income taxes doesn't fund the police, doesn't build up the roads. So what we're going to do, we're going to move on forward, and we got a bunch of clips that we're going to play tonight of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan breaking down and going deeper into this scam, going real deep into this scam and showing what's really going on. So we're going to start this one out right, and we're going to start with him talking about the Federal Reserve and the fall of America. Let's go.
Dollar. I recognize that we love the Benjamins. So I happened to find a few, and I brought them out because we have become enslaved to the symbolic power of a dollar that really is losing its value every day. We have deceived for this. We have tricked for this. We have lied for this. We have killed for this. At the death of our loved ones, we have fought over this and what this could buy of material things. So today, I want to talk about the dollar. But I want to start with something that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, since he's my teacher, and the base of what I'm going to say in his book, The Fall of America. What? A man wrote a book like that? Yes, he did. And on page 87, he talks about the decline of the dollar. Today, if it is the will of God, I hope to be able to show you why we can no longer trust in this as the God we trust. But we better learn, and quickly, who is the God that we should put trust in, because putting trust in this in a few days, you're going to see men with Benjamins lighting their cigars, because the value of this will be worthless. Follow us today. Says, no, don't integrate with Pharaoh, because God has prepared a mighty future for you. It's these same leaders that will oppose the modern Moses, because Pharaoh has already promised them, hang out with me, I'll make you a millionaire. You're going to be a Negro millionaire. Ain't you happy? You're going to be a Negro billionaire. But all the money that you got, I printed. And I can pay you to fight God. And you are dumb enough to think you can win because you have amassed some degree of dollars. Now, all that have bank accounts that you put your hope in,
I got me some dollars that I put aside. So when hard times come, I'll be able to do all right. Well, today we're going to see. Now, Pharaoh's wealth had to be destroyed in order for the children of Israel to recognize that Pharaoh didn't have their future. So the wealth of the white man has to be destroyed. So you don't think anymore that they have your future, so you can bow down to them rather than bow down to the God whose finger has moved against their wealth. So the finger of God moved against Pharaoh to destroy the work of Pharaoh, since that was the thing that was holding the slave away from obedience to God. And God had to destroy Pharaoh's power by destroying Pharaoh's wealth. And as it was, so it is. Remember, I read from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the dollar is the number one fall. Now, most of us are bound to America by the promise of material possessions, not the promise of freedom. Come on now. Not the promise of justice, but the promise of material possessions. We want the new car, the designer clothes, the new home in a better neighborhood. These are the things that lure us to the better paying job, so that we could buy these creature comforts, though we're not free. Now, let's take this up to the government of the United States. In 2006, America posted a deficit of $450 billion. How did she get a deficit? She gets revenue from taxing, excise taxes, tariffs, taxes on corporations, trade. She builds her revenue base. All the money that came into the Treasury last year was not enough to equal what she had budgeted for that year. And the money that America took in taxes couldn't even pay the interest on what she already owed. So this is called a Federal Reserve note. They have United States currency, you see it in red. But the Federal Reserve note is in green. And they make sure they get that red one back. Now here you got a note. This is not created by wealth creation. This is created by debt. So the more debt America owes, the more the Federal Reserve gives the engraving corporation instructions to print more money. And the more money that they put in circulation, the weaker the dollar becomes, because there's nothing backing this dollar but the gross national product of America, the symbolic value of America, and the military might of America. That's what backs the dollar. Now hear me. Who are correctly called in the book of Revelation the synagogue of Satan, that have gained control. I want you to hear me. Gain control and set up a central bank in America that is not controlled by the U.S. Congress. And in 1913, the 16th Amendment of the Constitution was ratified, which gives the government the authority to tax the people. Up to 1913, America's debt was controlled by the American citizens, and America was solvent in 1913. She didn't owe nothing. In 1862, Abraham Lincoln imposed income tax on the citizens to pay for the war. 10 years later, 1872, the income tax was repealed. But in 1894, Congress tried to bring it back, and the Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional. But in 1913, when the Federal Reserve Act was passed in Congress, the IRS was reenacted because the Federal Reserve was going to put America in debt, and you, the citizen or the so-called citizen, would have to pay for America's debt through taxation. Now follow me. In 1913, Woodrow Wilson was America's president. In 1913, Woodrow Wilson agreed to the Federal Reserve Act. Nelson Aldrich, a senator, and Paul Warburg and a few of the Jewish families of Europe with Gentiles took over the monetary policies of the United States. In 1917, America got involved in the First World War. In order to fight that war, America had to borrow money, and that's when the debt started. Because when she borrowed money, she had to borrow it from somewhere. Federal Reserve have money printed, you borrow it, you pay the expenditures of war, and all you bought was paper, but this paper has interest attached to it, even though it's based on nothing. Just is here now. So last Sunday I said Barack Obama inherited the fall of America. He inherited the collapse of her institutions. He inherited the end of her world. Now, there's some work for us to do. Last week, I talked about the international bankers. And how they plotted against America from Europe. The Rothschilds, the Warburgs, some of these that have recently collapsed, their fathers, international bankers. You may not have known it, but it's against the Constitution for anybody to print or coin or mint the money of the United States of America except the U.S. Congress. But these international bankers with some treasonous senators on Jekyll Island off the coast of Georgia plotted and set up the Federal Reserve Act. And on December the 23rd, 1913, a law was passed in Congress that violated the Constitution, that gave international banking families the right to print the money that you have in your pocket. I have a document. International banking families the right to print the money that you have in your pocket. I have a document that shows how America got from $1,400,000,000 in debt in 1913 to now $65.5 trillion in debt. Listen to this. How many of you own your home or are buying your home? Would you raise your hands, please? Okay. Did you know that the debt of America is more than the value of every building that is on 3,000 by 2,000 square miles called the United States of America? As I said last week, right now the FBI building is up for sale. The Drug Enforcement Agency has already been sold. And what others are doing, foreign companies buying up taxpayer dollar buildings and leasing them back to the government. America is broke. Very, very broke. And no matter how much hope you have in the stimulus package, I'm here to tell you what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. He said that foreign wars and divine plagues are destroying the economy and the American way of life. He said, America is gone. Her money is gone. There's no more silver, no more gold. After a while, she may ask for copper. The money is worthless. Right now, the money has no value. This used to be a silver certificate that used to say, pay the bearer on demand $1 in silver. You can't get silver for it anymore. You can't get gold for it. It is the wealth of the country that's holding up the dollar. He said, soon you'll see money piled and burning in the streets. There will be another medium of exchange not coming from this country. He said, I warn you because I love you. Now listen to these words. She will fight and continue to fight. He mentioned Vietnam and other areas of Asia. But the last fight will be in East Germany, and there she will be destroyed. Now I want you to stop with me a minute. I want to talk about East Germany. Now look. Do we do business like business should be done? Let me hear an answer. In the word business is the word busy. And when you're busy, you're engaged in some focused activity. Business is the activity of life itself. When you are a living organism, you must be engaged in that which preserves and maintains your life. There is no creature that God created that is not busy feeding, sheltering, procreating, extending itself. If we are a living people, see, inanimate objects don't do this. They don't procreate. They don't go looking for food or shelter. They're inanimate, meaning they're not living. But what about you? Ever since we've been in America, we haven't provided food, clothing, shelter, education for ourselves and our people. Am I lying? You graduated from Morehouse, Clark, Howard, Tuskegee, Florida A&M, North Carolina A&T. Yeah. And you have degrees. What have we produced? Of food, of clothing, of shelter for our people. If you find as a living creature that you need something that you don't have, you look around for somebody that has what you need, and you enter into trade and commerce as a living people. But you are not alive. You are dead people. You have flatlined on business. Now, if you look at all the people of the earth, the ones that are the most busy, showing that they have the most life, are the members of the Jewish people. Why are they this way? Because they had the prophets. And they learned well. Now, I'd like to read you something that I found in this book. It talks about the percentage of Jews in America, but the number of Nobel laureates. Their percentage outweighs everybody's. They are the best in science, in medicine, in law, in art, in culture. It's a tremendous people. How did they get it? Through trade and commerce. Our lessons tell us that they set up a trading post. See, they understood the value of commerce. We haven't got it yet. You got brothers and sisters all over the world that you can do business with, but we have no commerce.
Right. So they had to try to defeat the prophet's reputation. Look at the words they use. Look at what they said to Pastor Barrett. Look at what they said on television. It is a possible pyramid scheme. They didn't say it was in fact that. They didn't really know what it was. They could have dealt with a pyramid. What was it? See? Force them to show their hand. Some believe, look at the words in the press, some believe it to be a pyramid scheme. T.L. Barrett believes it to be an economic development plan. Well, then let's pit our two beliefs together, either in the world or in a court of law. Because if we believe it's an economic development plan, then prove it. And if they believe it's a scheme, then let them prove it. We ain't got a damn thing to prove to rich people except that we're poor and trying to get the hell out of it. What do we have to prove to them? Did you ever ask the Chinese how they built Chinatown? How many of you talk to the Chinese? Mr. Wong, how did you get so many Chinese restaurants in the black community? Was it a business loan from the government? You didn't ask that, did you? Did you? The Koreans just got here a few days ago. Did you ever ask the Koreans, Mr. Korean, Sir, how did you get so many businesses in the black community so fast and just got here yesterday? Did you ask them? The Palestinian refugees, the Lebanese, the people of the Middle East whose area is torn up with war and devastation, and they arrive in America penniless. Did you ever ask them, brother Palestinian, how did you get so many stores in the black community and just got here yesterday? The reason you don't know because they're not on television. Didn't you hear the old rap, the revolution will not be televised? The Chinese are not trying to get on Channel 2 telling you how they built up Chinatown. You don't find the Cubans coming on TV. Hi, y'all. My name is Salvador Sanchez. I am a man that just came from Cuba. The communist Fidel Castro drove me out, but thanks to God, I have $20 million now. And I want to show all of you silly people how I got it out of your pocket. You don't hear from the Cubans. You don't hear from the Haitians. You don't hear from the Vietnamese. You don't hear from the Palestinians. You don't hear from nobody who comes to America and networks their money. Go ahead. They got a network going. Have you ever asked the Greeks, how come the Greeks own all these restaurants in every major city in America? Have you ever said anything to anybody? You ain't under any obligation to tell your enemy what you are doing to get the hell out from under his yoke. Go ahead. Lord, and I pray, Lord, give us this day our daily bread. Amen. And I come out and sit down. Children, don't worry. The Lord is going to take care of everything. You keep on sitting there, doing nothing, praying that the Lord will give you some daily bread. See, if you and your family don't starve to death, waiting on the Lord. But if you went in your room and said, Lord, give us this this day our daily bread. And I know you're going to do it because you got control over conditions. So now, Lord, I'm going to work in my wheat field. I'm plowing it up and I'm planting wheat because you can't have bread without wheat or flour. So I'm doing my part. Then God sends the clouds with the rain and the earth does its part. And before you know it, I got a field of wheat and I grind the wheat into flour and then I make me some daily bread. I'm not talking about daily the mayor giving you bread. I'm talking about you going to work daily producing your own bread. If you sit around and wait for a mystery God, you're going to be poor, ragged, hungry, naked, and out of doors. Any of you Muslims who call yourself followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they're still working for the Caucasian and still planning to stay there with him. You don't follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. If you follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you know that the white man is going to dump black people, and he already has dumped a great portion of us. He doesn't have no more jobs for our young men. So what are we going to do? Allow our young men to be swallowed up selling drugs? Or are we going to call our young men and say, no, we got to go to work and create jobs for ourselves? I'm saying steal away. If you can't walk away, steal away, and let's go on and do something for ourselves.
And today, in 2013, we are in December of this year, 100 years since the creation of the Federal Reserve Bank and the Internal Revenue Service and the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. And since then, America's debt has gone from $2 billion to more than $16.4 trillion. Now, they set these institutions up to work in unity. The Federal Reserve, the IRS, and the ADL. One was to create debt. The other was to enforce a tax policy to take from the American citizens enough to pay that debt. And the watchdog of the whole thing was to see who would recognize who did this. And that's when the Anti-Defamation League would raise the cry of anti-Semitism. Now, America is seeing herself in ruin because of it. Though they're telling you the inflation rate is a low 1.7%, Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke is now running the printing presses 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to prop up a falling economy with money that is backed by nothing. The money that they are printing has no value. It's phony money, fiat money. Every month, the Federal Reserve is flooding the monetary system with $85 billion in fiat or phony money. It is valueless paper that makes whatever wages we earn lose its value. They can pacify us with the talk of recovery, but your bill for milk, for bread, for oil, for gasoline, for cereal, for butter, for transportation, for the essential goods that make life livable for the American people, those prices are skyrocketing. Yet your wages are not keeping pace. You're making $7 and a few pennies hourly wage. Well, now we have 29 states under severe drought, ruining crops and livestock with one major storm after another, and all the calamities that are happening. This only adds to the pressure on an economy that is already on life support. Now the people are being taxed to pay for this, but the debt is so far beyond what little the people have that they can never pay it down. And to tax the people further would deprive them more of the essentials of life, which they are barely getting now. The fact is that we are now facing the grim reality that everything that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad predicted has now come to pass.
We invited you here to give you an earth-shaking announcement that from this day forward, we will be challenged to prove. But if you watch us, if you listen to us, I guarantee you every nation and every kingdom on earth will be rocked by the power coming from this tiny little budding nation that Jesus described as a mustard seed. That's right. But when it germinates and grows and spreads its branches, every fowl and every bird will find a refuge under its wings. You are looking at the birth, not just of the nation of Islam, but the birth of the kingdom of God Almighty on earth. You Muslim scholars, you are looking at the birth of the kingdom of Islam. We called you here like the wise men of old who saw a star and they traveled to where the baby was. The baby had no room to come to birth. She had to give birth in a manger, or come to birth in a manger. The wise men who saw the baby came bringing gold. What baby needs gold? All babies that I know of need milk. But here's a baby that needs gold. Gold for what? It's not talking about a child being born from a single mother. It's talking about a nation coming to birth that needs gold to build its own institutions and carve out a destiny for itself.
And today, satisfied until we have the college level on the University of Islam. And if you help me by doing what you can in the economic field, Muslims, you shouldn't be around here looking to white people to give you a job. Go look in Message to the Black Man and the Economic Blueprint. And if there are 4 of you, 6 of you, 8 of you together, pool your resources, go into business and set up business all over the south and west side of Chicago. would like to see at least 100 millionaires among the Muslims in Chicago. If you're rich, I'm rich. And I can always come and tell you about the needs of a nation. But if you poor and we poor, hell man, we can't be around here poor. I want to see rich Muslims. And if you obey Allah, there's no reason why you can't make a business successful. You just have to get up and stop being lazy and trifling and go do something for yourself. So we're going to put together a trade delegation of Muslims and, well, everybody's a Muslim. But there are those who have not confessed Islam, but they are brilliant in business. We made promises to governments, and we're going to fulfill our promise. There's all kinds of investment opportunities. Diamonds, gold, uranium, oil. I mean, you name it, Africa is open. And the Europeans are coming in with money and they're taking Africa. Well, why can't we go? They're ready to sell gold mines to us. They're ready for us to develop gold. Well, where's Michael Jackson? Where's Shaq O'Neal? Where? We need to pull our moneyed people together and let's do some business now, because we can't build a nation on the charity of the believer. We can only build a nation on a strong economic foundation that's built on business, agriculture, agribusiness. Yes, sir.